So today we are doing section 5 of Adhyasa Drishti, where we are going to talk about sublation. We have to first understand the word sublation. It's not generally used in English so much, so people get confused. Understanding this word is very important. We have a guy in the center and we have infinity of his reflections. This infinity of reflections confuses him which one is truly me. This confusion, this error is called superimposition, adhyasa. Now all that he needs to do is figure out from all these infinite images which one am I truly. When he figures out that, oh, this one is not me, that one is not me, that is not me, that is not me. How did he get there? By negating. This is not me, not me, not me, not me, not me. Oh, this is me. So how did he come to this recognition? By not this, not this, not this, not this. This process of negating and reaching the final truth is called sublation. In Sanskrit, the word is apavada. It's like finding the solution to the problem, but not by directly getting the solution, by negating the wrong ones. It's a process where I negate the wrong ones and I arrive at the final truth. Nothing has changed in the process. These reflections have not changed. I have not damaged them. I have not killed them. I have not destroyed them. I have simply negated them. Not this, not this, not this, not this. Nothing happens to them. It does not disappear. It is. But now I know which is the correct me. So that's what the guy finds. Oh, this is the true nature of myself. And that was the false superimposition on my true nature. So that is seen as adhyasa or superimposition, the process of negating all this and reaching the center is called apavada, sublation. It's a process of negating till you actually reach the essence, the true essence. Nothing changes. You're not destroying anything. Everything that you negate remains as it is. But a transformation occurs in the way you now see it. Now, once you understand sublation, you start recognizing, oh, my true nature is consciousness. And now consciousness is superimposed by these multiple images. And do I have to get over each of these multiple images? Yes, each of them. One glimpse is never sufficient. All of you have had so many glimpses, sometimes in Samadhi, sometimes in Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana. One glimpse here and there is not sufficient. That happened to me even when I was ignorant. Even when I was ignorant, suddenly I used to get the feeling, is this real or is this not real? Am I really here or am I not here? I never feel big, small, old, young. There is something in me that was telling me what reality is even when I was ignorant. And then I push that glimpse under the carpet, and people will think I'm crazy and I have to behave all prim and proper. So I held on to this weaker identity. Do you see this? So glimpses come even to the ignorant one. Glimpses are never sufficient. That is the gist of this entire section 5. I have to become clear in my seeing, and that clarity should be there moment to moment, moment to moment, moment to moment. It should be in the waking, in the transition between the waking and dream. It should be in the dream, and it should be in the transition between dream and deep sleep. And it should be in deep sleep and the transition back out of deep sleep to whatever, dream or waking, whichever follows. Clarity should be there throughout. Very important. Yes. Then my Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana will sublate all of these. All of these will be gone. I don't have to individually work on these. I have to work on recognizing in waking, dreaming, deep sleep, and their respective transitions. It comes to 6 areas really. Waking, dream, deep sleep, and the transition. 6 areas. If I see it in these 6 areas very clearly, without any doubt, complete certainty that I saw this of my own accord, in my own Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana, there was no ekta, there was no book, there was no scripture. It was my direct seeing. This is the truth. Then I get convinced. And that self-conviction is called Shraddha. Listening to ekta never builds conviction. It just is an inspiration. If ekta the householder can get there, I can get there. Let me start walking. And then you start walking. So ekta served only as an inspiration to walk. Now I have to take that tip, that pointer, and I see in my Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana. When I see, I negate these. That is called sublation. Apavada. When I negate it, when I do a successful apavad, not this, not this, not this, not this. Oh, that. Yeah. Then I find my true nature, my Swarupa, my true form. It's formless. Yeah? Still it is called Swarupa. My own true form. Okay? That is the gist of this chapter. Now we will go question by question. What are these main 6 sublations that I should work on? Very important. Can I recognize these few sublations the moment I work on these, and I'm convinced that there is no doubt about the waking and there's no doubt about the waking transitioning to dream. Now there's no doubt about the dream even, and there is no doubt about dream transitioning to deep sleep. There is no doubt about deep sleep even. Whatever transition happens from deep sleep, it can go to dream. Sometimes from deep sleep, it can come to waking. Whatever that transition is, there is clarity there. The entire process is clear, not necessarily in one single Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana. Not necessarily in one single, but I see it in different Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana, sometimes in an afternoon nap, sometimes in the night. I see all of them. I put them together and become very clear. Oh, these were all superimpositions. So let's read L36. Questioner. I get glimpses that I am not the waker, but something beyond the waker's body-mind, as if watching the waker from a distance. Yet I believe that I am the waker's body-mind personality. You've seen a glimpse in your Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana so clearly In waking, you recognize, I'm not this body. I am that in which this body suddenly appeared. Because the topic of the body was raised. If we were talking about thought, maybe body would not come up. So body arising just came up because the word body was uttered. Where did it arise? Oh, in me, the witnessing field. I see it. Yet, in a dramatic situation, chaotic situation, situation where I am due to get some credit, in a situation where there is discredit, in such situations, I become the weaker. I start taking it personally. Correct? This is also your question. So the answer is, recognize the conflict between the glimpse and the belief. You've just had a glimpse of it. Glimpse here, glimpse there, glimpse there. So recognize as a conflict when there is just one little glimpse and my past belief of so many years, I am Ekta. And this glimpse says, no, I am the witness of Ekta. And they keep clashing. I am Ekta, I am the witness of Ekta. I am Ekta, no, I am the witness of Ekta. And you confuse yourself. Do you recognize this? So you have to reconcile this conflict. You should not be happy with one glimpse. You shouldn't stop your journey too soon. You shouldn't claim, I have reached there. Why? Because a glimpse is not sufficient. It has to become continuous. So what do? I have to recognize a superimposition in my Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana. Come to R36. Let's see what I need to recognize. Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana reveals the waker ends with the waking state. I witness it. Means what? This so-called me, this waker that I am assuming to be me, this waker ends at 11, 11:30, 12 in the night, whatever time. The waker ends, but I still am. That transition shows me from waking maybe to garbled thoughts, not even a fully blown dream yet. Garbled thoughts, some garbled images, nothing is making sense. A dream scene has not even come up. It's only like in words, verbal kind of dream has started. I clearly recognize I am witnessing the verbal dream. A full-blown visual dream has not even come up, and the waker is not there. But I still am. That recognition, Ekta is not there, but I still am. That is very important. So this you see in the transition from the waking to the dream. Okay. Then the reverse transition when you're coming back into the waking. Some of us come from some dream scene. Either there is fear in the dream scene or there is too much craving in the dream scene. Something very strong in the dream scene jolts you out. The witness knows that there is some fear going on or some craving going on, some major attraction, repulsion going on in the dream scene. The witness knows that, and suddenly the dream collapses and the waker lying on the bed appears. I, the witness, was there when the waker was not. I was there when Ekta was not. I was knowing a dream scene. I was knowing maybe just a verbal dream, only words. I was very clearly witnessing that. There was no sensation of a body lying on the bed. And suddenly, that dream has collapsed and there is the sensation of a body lying in bed. It's turning right, it's turning left. The waker has appeared. When this waker was not, I still was. Yeah? That I still am when the waker is not needs to be seen in both transitions. Going from the waking into dream and coming out from the dream into waking. Then my conviction develops, this is my reality. Not because Ekta says so, not because scriptures say so, not because Adi Shankaracharya spoke about superimposition. No, it is me. I see it. I know my truth now. Okay. Third line, from beyond the waker, I witness the waker in the waking world. Just the transition is not sufficient. Between the two transitions, recognizing continuously, I am beyond Ekta. Yeah? Not on the right side behind her or on the left side behind her. I am that witnessing awareness field in which she suddenly appears and disappears. Again she appears, again she disappears. If some perception of sight becomes dominant and powerful and the entire interest goes there, there is only perception of sight. There is no Ekta. No body of Ekta, no thought of Ekta, no feeling of Ekta. Just that dominating perception of sight. So Ekta is not there. I am there and I have the knowledge of the sight wave. That recognition is very important. Yeah? A recognition that the waker is not there, but I am there and I am knowing this sight wave, whatever it is. Beautiful sunset, beautiful river. There, sudden standstill. The waker is gone, the thought is gone, the feeling is gone. There's just that beautiful river or the beautiful sunset. I am there witnessing that sight. There is only knowledge of the sight. The waker is not. That recognition is very important. I am when the waker is not. When this body-mind is not. Okay? So from beyond the waker, I witness the waker. In what? In the waking world. Yes. This is another level of recognition where you feel as if you are wearing binoculars called the body-mind and you're seeing the world through those binoculars. Don't you feel that sometimes? If you've not worn the binoculars properly, the focus is not clear. And then you hear from the waking world, you're not paying attention to me. And then you wear the binoculars properly and you're fully focused. Do you see that? You need the body-mind to experience the world belonging to this body-mind. It was exact opposite. On the Dvaitam path, you used to be told, pay more attention, be more aware, and you were trying to get into the eyes of the waker and see better. You were trying to get into the ears of the waker and hear better. Do you realize this? You used to adjust the binoculars, the lens of the binoculars, so there is better perception of the waking world. This is one step higher, knowing that I am the witnessing awareness field in which this body is acting like the binocular. Through it, I see the waking world. That is why everything is so far away. Every image is really of me. There is a child in the family. The way the child behaves, whether very well behaved or absolutely mischievous, it's a reflection of my craving or aversion. That recognition, that is me. That's how you really start understanding these images. These multiple images that form your waking world, they confuse you. From beyond the waker, when I stand as the witnessing field, I witness not just the waker, which is the binocular, but also the waking world seen through those binoculars, heard through the binoculars. They are special binoculars, okay? The robotic kind of binoculars. Now AI has come. And so you can touch the waking world through that. You can smell the food in the waking world with that. And you can think, you can pretend to think. But it is all the robot that is doing. Seeing, smelling, hearing, tasting, touching. You are not doing it. You just appear to be doing it. That recognition, oh, the transient waker is superimposed on my ever wakefulness, these binoculars. And what I see through them, sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, thought, feeling, sensation, all this superimposes on my ever wakefulness. Waking world and ever wakefulness. Waker superimposing on ever wakefulness. Waking world superimposing on ever wakefulness. That recognition, I am beyond, that sublates the superimposition. Me only, the body arising appears, I call it the waker. In me only, smell wave appears, I call it the waking world. No, it is only knowledge, 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 knowledge. Transient knowledge, like a wave that appears and disappears. That transient wave, that transient knowledge is superimposing on my ever wakefulness. What is ever wakefulness? I came to my Swarupa, no? Recognizing my true self. I am formless, and that formlessness is ever awake. There is nothing like a waker there and a waking world there. Not required. Ever wakefulness. That is my true nature. On that, this pretense waker has come up at whatever 6 a.m., 7 a.m. in the morning. And this waking world is seen through the binoculars called the waker. And they all keep dancing, 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 pretending to be the waker and the waking world. What are they superimposing on? Me. I am there. That field on which they have appeared, they dance. They become so important that I forget there is a stage on which they dance. The dancer is so enigmatic, charming. I forget the stage. That forgetfulness of the stage is called superimposition. The recognition of the stage is recognition of my ever wakefulness. I don't need a waker and a waking world to be ever wakefulness. Then you stop looking at the waking state as the waking state. That is the key. That is the key. You stop looking at the waking state as a waking state. Now there is continuous ever wakefulness, in which there is this knowledge of a waker, knowledge of a waking sight, knowledge of a waking thought, knowledge of a waking touch. Just knowledge coming, going, coming, going, coming, going, trying to superimpose on ever wakefulness. But now I am clear. I do not get fooled anymore. So, homework number 1. Have you come to the point of realization that I am not this waker? Number 2, have you come to the point of realization I am that ever wakefulness that is being superimposed by the idea of the waker and the waking world? This recognition will take you completely out of that error that I am this body-mind. For example, I never get confused, I am Ekta. I am very clear Ekta operates automatically in her world. Her world is a reflection of her only. She is the one that is being reflected here. I am not confused. I am not interested. What is going on automatically. I am not even the consciousness that projected this waking illusion out of its own desire. I am the not consciousness beyond. That not consciousness, by its very nature, is desireless, nobodiness, nothingness, shunyata. First point is very clear. Let's see if we can get there by recognizing very clearly, witnessing the waker in the entire waking state, the waker disappearing into the transition from waking to dream, and then the waker reappearing from the transition from dream to waking. In all three situations, I am the ever wakefulness field on which this waker and its waking world try to superimpose. Yeah. That is point number 36.